The first Father's Day, being a single parent, was June of 1989. I wasn't officially divorced. I was still trying to make it work, but a lot had happened in those months of going through a divorce. Legally, my career was being challenged. There was a new ownership coming through. My father turned on me. I had no support, so I started joining men's groups, as they call them, back in those days. There was no online, no internet, none of that. I was still, in the first 6 months, I was actually trying to work it out, trying to reconcile. However, it got worse and worse to the point where no matter what I did, and you know what, I was volunteering to do everything to make it right, make me the perfect husband, and here to no avail. It was a fucking joke. And then something happened that was very critical. I met with a gentleman. I was in search of anyone that could influence her decision of giving it another chance, including friends from college that knew of me and her, high school friends, anybody that would listen. And of course, nothing was happening. So I reached out to this gentleman that knew both of us. In fact, he was the contractor of my new home that I built in 82 or so. And don't forget, this is 88, 89, while I was going through 12 months of divorce. I met him about 6 months into it. He was a contractor, home builder. And we had this discussion about what am I doing wrong? I mean, I can't believe it. Can you talk to her and so on? Well, during this call at his home, he was married, had 3 children. He got a phone call while I was there. And he started asking me questions prior to the phone call about what type of life insurance do I have. And I thought that was kind of weird that he would ask. Why would he ask what type of life insurance I had? We were in his basement. In Minnesota, they have basements. And he was a big guy. I mean, probably 6'3", 280. Big contractor. Big guy. Real big, deep voice. Intimidating, actually. But I got along with him. And besides that, he worked on some of my business projects also. So while he got this phone call, I overheard him talking that, oh, he's here now. And I thought, who would that be? And I assumed it was my soon-to-be ex-wife. And I'm going to tell you, I got scared. He was just talking to me about life insurance. I'm in his basement. I assumed he was talking to my ex-wife, saying he's here now. I excused myself very quickly from that basement. And I drove away thinking, holy shit, she's being coached. And it could be more than emotional. He's the divorce strategist. As you know, I'm a Catholic. I don't think of infidelity, I think of adultery. And I thought, wow, this is generational adultery. I wasn't dating at that time. I was trying to reconcile, thinking I was going to get back. But that was the trigger. The trigger was, okay, now I know. Now I know. And that was enough to say, I'm never going to return to that shit. Then I started thinking about all the little things as they worked up, like no more ring, or forget about the romance. So as I mentioned before, Father's Day is coming up. By June of 1989, I was ready, willing, and able to say, fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm going to trial, thinking that the court's going to look at everything, righteousness and justice. It's all bullshit. Trial was terrible. It should have never got to that point, but they wanted so much, including the family business, that I had to go through trial. My attorney wasn't prepared. He wasn't prepared. I realized then that during those 12 months, my marriage was over. The woman that I married was unfaithful. My job was on the line because my father decided to sell the business without me. And he was so pissed that he didn't care who he sold it to. However, the buyers all recognized me as a value. So he had 3 offers, and all of them said, we need Rock to make this happen. So I had leverage. In fact, it was better that my dad was retiring. He was out, and I was in. I was still going through trial, preparing for trial. What else happened? I had an investor involved that, to me, wasn't the type of person I could trust, but I had to do it. I had to retain my 17 years of business to move on. And eventually, to be honest with you, I thought I'd buy them out over time, but that didn't work out. And being considered a criminal, in a way, you're considered a criminal. When you're going through a divorce, I mean, that's how I looked at it. I had leprosy, according to my family, and no one would come close to me. Because I think they realized that, fuck, if it could happen to Rock, it could happen to me. That's true. So going back to Father's Day, I would show up with my children, well-dressed, clean, because I would have them that weekend. Sports was the big deal. That's what kept me in the game, in the arena, with the kids, as their coach. Because let me tell you, when you got young kids, you start talking about joint custody when you think your ex-wife is with every guy in town. You don't know. But I realized my kids were being exposed to shit. But you can't do anything. You can't do anything. And I was brought up with a mother that was dedicated and committed and married eventually 74 years to my father. 11 kids, no twins. I don't know if you recall the movie back in the day, back in the 50s, it was called Cheaper by the Dozen. My parents loved that movie because it was them. Cheaper by the dozen. So going back to Father's Day, we would always have a big bash because our family is so big. It was always at some type of event, facility, and the tradition was go to Mass, everybody shows up, we fill up the church, then you go out to eat. And I'd bring my kids, of course. And I felt so bad, everybody. I am telling you, I felt so bad that I was a single parent. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't keep my family together, just like my father said. He told me soon after I was served, at work of all places, if you can't take care of your family, how are you going to take care of the business? He treated me like shit for those 12 months. My father only cared about selling the business to somebody that would pay cash. I wasn't even in the running because I had no money. I don't know if I told you the story. It's in my book, They Named You Right. It's my memoir. I remember him, I thought he was going to cut me a deal because I spent so much time working and growing the business from 32 employees to 150 employees with my team, non-family members. I said, Dad, are you going to give me a loan the way your partner allowed you a loan, a contract for deed? My dad said, no. You got friends at the bank? Go talk to them. And that's when I realized I had no friends. I had no money. At the same time, I'm going through a divorce. No one was touching me. No one was trusting me. I had no family, no business, no marriage, no friends. Talk about stress. Talking about how are you going to make it. I don't know if I shared this with you. Besides hotels, besides living with my parents for a week before my dad says, get out, I had buddies living on couches. And then eventually I lived with a buddy of mine, golfing buddy. I lost a golf membership too, by the way, all in the divorce. He let me live there for 3 years for $300 a month for a room. I still respect him and honor that. And by the way, he was a Vietnam vet. I love Vietnam vets, man. Tough dudes. Tough dudes. So what I'm trying to say is, you don't know about the secrets. You don't know what's behind the scenes. You don't know who's influencing who. But I have to admit, man, I'm not on 48 hours. I'm not on 20/20. I didn't get killed, and I didn't kill anybody. Now, do things go through your mind that you'd never contemplate if you were sane? I would say yeah. I would say yes. Most of all, would I hurt myself? Am I a failure? Am I a loser? Can I do this? Can I really pay lifetime alimony? Can I really say I could be a good dad? Could I also pay for child support and not be a deadbeat dad? And my biggest fear was to be in a newspaper. Back in those days, they would call them deadbeat dads. And they would take your driver's license. That's what's motivated me. And by the way, the workaholism, fucking right, man. Because eventually, I had to do what I had to do. Which is, I loaned up to the fucking as much money as I can get. And I got a minority share in the business. And that partner of mine, he also took advantage of my emotional state going through a divorce. I could see that. But guess what? They didn't realize that I came back. I came back stronger, by the way. You know why? Because I was independent. And I knew the business. I knew I could grow the business because I have something to say. And by the way, the 5-year employment contract and all the guarantees of the benefits and so on saved my life. Where did that come from? Harvard Business School. One of my lawyer classmates said, Rock, you got to have an employment contract. You can't trust private equity. That saved me. So, Father's Day, I was ashamed. I was ashamed. And I'm sure everyone's got their own story. But I wanted to share this story with you to say, you could come back, man. You could come back stronger. It's your mindset. It's your drive. And I still wanted to be the best dad, a great dad. And my kids, they became great. Not me. My kids did. Now, my kids are all in their 40s. And if they're listening to this YouTube, they're going, what the fuck, Dad? What are you talking about this shit for? Why? Why talk about mom that way? No. I'm telling you because this is what I had to go through. No one else is going to tell you. I need to tell you to just say, listen, This is what happens out there. And you deadbeat dads are not deadbeat dads. But you have to realize that the mother of your children aren't who they say they are. You don't know what they're thinking about. You don't know their secrets. You don't know. Colors show eventually, everybody. And it's 40 years later I'm talking about this because I'm going on record. I believe in karma. And if you want to deal with it, you talk to your mother. And the generations of bullshit. You know our family. So, Rock, you're a divorce strategist? What's all a strategy? I had no clue. Here it's raining. I'm just telling you. You're going to get through this. So if there's any inspiration, any motivation, is you got to think for yourself. You got to be independent. Don't count on anybody. Blended families get all fucked up. Even worse. And I haven't shared this with you yet. You don't know my whole story. But this is the first divorce when I was 33. I got another one to tell you at 66. But it's a whole different story. But this one has 3 kids in it. Okay. Enough is enough. So that's my first Father's Day. I was ashamed. I was hurt. I was pained. I was in pain. And behind my back, people talk too. And at the same time, I'm running the fucking business. I wasn't the owner at that time, during my divorce. Everything was put on hold. The business was on hold by lawyers, the trials, oh my God, audits. My father, don't talk to me. You fucked up my future, my business. Yeah. This is a different level, everybody, but I'm just telling you. Don't give up on your kids. One last item. I worked with a friend of mine that tried to get custody, couldn't get custody in Minnesota. It eventually ended up like I got, they call it joint custody. Yeah, it's joint custody, but you pay for everything, okay? The breadwinner. He taught me a lot. I had months of developing a 3-page visitation schedule. Put it in a decree. My decree was almost 50 pages, okay? 3 pages were visitation. Do you really believe that people care about the thousands of dollars and the time that you put in to strategically get the best protection you can for your children? Do you really think they care? No. Can they do what they want on visitation? Damn right. The damn right. Taxes involved, spousal maintenance is involved, grievances are involved, child support's involved, the Dakota County's involved, and it goes on forever until it comes to an end. Mine took from 1988 to 2004, I believe. It finally ended. Child support and spousal maintenance. You don't want to know the financial sacrifice and investment it took. Because not everybody's going to be Rock. But God took care of me that I could actually speak about it. So Father's Day, as we work up to it, you better fucking enjoy it because you're going to remember every day. I can remember the hotel event we were at. I can remember my kids. Oh, here's the other thing. We couldn't even get a table where others would sit with me. They were that fearful of going through a divorce themselves. I was never welcome around that round table, but my 3 kids were. And guess who ended up on top? Yeah. So anyway, Father's Day is a special day. Never forget it. My father's going to be 100. He's still the king. I still respect him, but I don't idolize him like I did in the past. Because I've been betrayed from people that love me. I talk a lot about a lot of shit, man. But just listen up. I want to thank you for listening to my shit. It's all fact, man. It's all fact. And what I'm trying to do is the people that are there that have been through the pain similar to mine, don't give up on the kids. The kids can't help what went through. But here's the trauma. The trauma lasts for decades. And when the kids really don't know the truth or just suspect or assume what happened, you got to tell them the truth, man. The truth eventually comes out. I can't protect their mother. I can't. Or their sister. So, either way, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm here to say, listen, you can get through this. Don't give up on the kids. Take care of the kids. Do the best you can. Be the best dad you can. Be the best parent you can. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon.